Welcome to this explainer of the latest neuroscience research on a topic that honestly fascinates so many of us: how the human brain actually acquires language. Today, we're diving into the absolute magic behind raising multilingual children. Have you ever wondered why kids just seem to soak up new languages like a sponge, while we adults can struggle for years just to confidently order a coffee on vacation? Well, we're going to look at exactly what's happening inside the brain and, more importantly, how you can actually use this science. Okay. Let's dive right into this because it's such a common parental anxiety, right? You want to give your child this massive advantage of being bilingual or, hey, maybe even trilingual, but immediately the questions just start flooding in. When's the right time to start? If I start too early, am I going to confuse them? If I wait until middle school, have I totally missed the boat? Well, the neuroscience community actually has some very concrete answers for us, and they are absolutely fascinating.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll define the brain's golden window, explore the magic of the first 3 years with babies as citizens of the world, look at the biological deadline for native fluency, uncover the bilingual brain advantage, and finally, share some science-backed teaching techniques.
All right, starting with part 1, the brain's golden window, and understanding the biology of language learning.
The absolute core scientific concept we have to grasp here is the critical period. Think of this as a ticking biological clock. It's this highly specific time frame when a child's brain is completely primed, exceptionally spongy, and just so receptive to acquiring new languages. During this critical period, the brain isn't just, memorizing vocabulary, it's physically wiring itself to recognize and produce sounds. This ticking clock basically dictates exactly how easily a child can absorb not just one, but literally every single language on Earth without that immense effort it takes us adults. So when does this clock actually start ticking? Literally right at birth. That brings us to part 2, babies as citizens of the world and the magic of those first 3 years.
And this brilliantly illustrates what Patricia K. Kuhl, the co-director of the Institute for Learning and Brain Sciences at the University of Washington, discovered. It's incredible. She found that babies are literally born as citizens of the world. What she means by that is a newborn infant has this astonishing ability to distinguish the distinct sounds of every single language on the planet. Whether it's the rolling R's of Spanish, the really subtle tonal shifts of Mandarin, or the clicks of certain African languages, a newborn hears the difference perfectly.
But here's the catch. That universal superpower doesn't last forever. Before a baby even turns 1 year old, the brain goes through a process called synaptic pruning. Basically, the brain is highly efficient. If it isn't hearing certain foreign sounds in its environment, it just assumes it doesn't need them. So it literally trims away those genetic neural pathways to focus entirely on the mother tongue. It's the ultimate case of use it or lose it. So exposing your child to diverse accents and languages before they turn 1 essentially tricks the brain into keeping those pathways open, which prevents this genetic trimming from locking them out of foreign sounds later on. But what if your baby is already walking and talking? Let's move to part 3, the deadline for native fluency, and when exactly that window closes. To figure out exactly when this window shuts, we have to look at the data. And the data here is massive. A joint study conducted by neuroscientists and linguists at MIT, Harvard, and Boston College analyzed the language habits of over 670,000 subjects. That incredible scale gives this research absolute authority. They wanted to know one specific thing: when exactly does the brain's ability to effortlessly master a new language just shut down? Let's see how this massive dataset builds into a super clear biological timeline. From birth to 3 years, as we just saw, it's all about sound recognition and stopping that synaptic pruning. But to achieve true, effortless native fluency, where the accent and intuitive grasp of the language is totally indistinguishable from a local, the serious foundation really must begin before age 10. And interestingly enough, the brain's ability to easily absorb completely new grammar rules caps out right around 17 to 18 years old. Let's just contrast these two concepts for a second, because I really want to relieve some parental anxiety right here. If your child is 12, all is not lost. Teenagers and young adults can absolutely still master a language and its complex grammar rules up until they're 17 or 18. They can absolutely become completely fluent. However, achieving that effortless natural accent, that native-like fluency, that specific biological window requires starting before age 10. After 10, the brain just has to work consciously to make those sounds rather than doing it intuitively. Now, the benefits of hitting these windows go way beyond just ordering a croissant in Paris. Part 4, the bilingual brain advantage, and how this is about way more than just communication.
Research by York University psychologist Professor Ellen Bialystock has revealed something pretty extraordinary. Speaking two languages doesn't just add vocabulary to your brain, it physically alters and strengthens the long-term structure of the brain, specifically the prefrontal cortex. Because a bilingual child's brain is constantly filtering out one language to speak the other, it's essentially switching modes nonstop. This acts as a constant, invisible workout for the brain. It's literally like doing mental push-ups every single time they speak.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how that invisible brain workout translates into real-world, everyday skills. This strengthened prefrontal cortex leads to enhanced executive function. We're talking about significantly better planning skills, a much stronger capacity for problem solving, and vastly greater inhibitory control, which, is really just a fancy way of saying self-regulation. Bilingual kids are often way better at focusing on a task and ignoring distractions simply because their brains are already trained to ignore an entire second language while they're using their first.
So the benefits are massive, but how do we actually do it? Let's get into Part 5, science-backed teaching techniques, and how to actually apply this research at home.
Based directly on the neuroscientific research we've just unpacked, here's your concrete 3-step roadmap. Step 1 is to start fast. Really utilize those first 3 years to build a diverse sound bank in your baby's brain before that synaptic pruning kicks in. Step 2 is using a structured framework called OPAL. And Step 3 is focusing on the right kind of human interaction. Let's break those down really quickly.
Step 2 is the OPAL method, which stands for One Person, One Language. This is basically the gold standard for bilingual households to prevent a kid from blending the languages together. It works exactly like it sounds. For example, dad always speaks Thai to the child and mom always speaks English. What this does is it provides a crystal clear boundary for the child's developing brain, acting as a reliable guide that helps them separate vocabulary and grammar structures completely naturally, without any other confusion.
But here is the most critical warning from the scientific community. Dr. Patricia K. Kuhl's research proved this definitively. Just putting a baby in front of a screen to listen to foreign audio does virtually nothing. So, the crucial point is, YouTube, language apps, and cartoons simply do not work for early language acquisition without human social interaction. The human brain is so socially wired, it desperately needs the eye contact, the physical presence, and the responsive facial expressions of a real human being to trigger that language learning magic. Screens just cannot replace real conversational practice.
We've seen the incredible, science-backed reality of the developing brain today. We know the golden window is open right now, and that human interaction, consistency, and making it a really fun, stress-free experience are the ultimate keys to success here. Teaching your child another language is fundamentally changing their brain for the better, giving them cognitive advantages that are going to last a lifetime. It is, for sure, one of the most powerful gifts you could ever give them. So the only question left for you to ponder is, which languages will you choose to give your child as a lifelong gift?